All right, welcome everybody to the Pipeline Power Podcast, powered by RevSurge AI. This is a show where we dive deep into real stories behind real businesses, what's working and what's not. This week we're sitting down with Marc. Today I am joined by Marc. He is the CEO and owner at Force Equals. It's a multi-agent AI platform that helps entrepreneurs plan technology projects, align stakeholders, and avoid costly failures. So, Marc, thank you for joining me today.
Nice to be here, Alex.
Yeah, awesome. Well, why don't you just go into a little bit about what your background is and what you guys do at Force Equals?
Yeah, sure. I've been in, software most of my career. I started as an engineer, building product, doing product management. I've gone on to the business side. I've been with startups from like zero all the way up to 320 million in annual recurring revenue. So a lot of experience with startups, scale ups. I've been brought in to fix projects at different, companies that needed to get turned around. So I've done some of the hard work in the software community where you have to like make tough decisions and at the same time make sure that you got a product and growth strategy and a communication strategy to really make sure your customers stay on board. So I've done a lot of that kind of stuff in my career, and I think the common thread the whole time. I've always been building, deploying, selling, and consulting with companies that were larger in nature, so larger enterprise organizations. And the work that I did there was always about planning, right? Whenever there was an initiative to help improve the business in an enterprise organization, it's always been hard to collaborate. There's a lot of silos across the organization, stakeholders that approach projects from different angles and different, you know, subject matter expertise. And it's always been hard to align those resources. So that was always a challenge. And but more recently, I've seen an incremental challenge of the technology landscape just becoming so complex. Organizations that used to only have like 3 or 4 applications in a business unit now have 100 different applications in that same business unit. And understanding, like, if I change something here, what breaks over there, that's hard to understand. And I saw this whole planning cycle start to get really stressful and hard to execute. Innovation started slowing down. The planning cycles started to take up to a year. And that's before you even move to execution. And, that's something that I've seen in this space become problematic because larger companies need to innovate. They have to keep up. They have to compete, and it's getting harder and harder for them to do so. And that's kind of one of the things that really was the reason I started Force Equals, was to solve that problem for large enterprises, help them plan faster, help them deliver a solution that can really make impact for the business.
Got it. So yeah, I was actually going to ask you a question on, like, basically it was alluding to exactly what you just went over. Like, what problem are you seeing in enterprise projects that made you start this and say that it needs to exist? So it sounds like it was the execution and the quickness of how they have to roll things out to have it be effective. So why do you think that's so important? Like, why is the reason that enterprise projects, if they take a year or 2 years to, roll out and actually come to fruition, is it just because they're already behind the 8 ball when when the idea starts a year later to when they execute it? Maybe now it just doesn't even, maybe there's too many people, or it's saturated in the market, or kind of what does that look like?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, lack of momentum kills a lot of projects over time, right? Other priorities creep in, other ideas creep in. Companies right now, they're not struggling to get new ideas, right? There's tons of things that you need to do today to implement so that you can innovate. And so there's tons of competing objectives, tons of competing initiatives. The longer a planning cycle takes, the more likely that planning cycle is to be disrupted or to be impacted by politics, to be impacted by changes in the organization, people changes, personnel changes. And therefore, it gets harder and harder for a longer project to get the level of collaboration and planning it needs so that it results in a successful execution of that project post planning. Um, and you see a lot of, because of that complexity, and over time, if the things planning starts to fall apart, sometimes the projects still just go through, right? But
Yeah.
it goes through with a lack of buy-in, a lack of support, a lack of due diligence on data flows, lack of due diligence on, expertise that needs to be gathered so that the project can be deployed successfully and then ultimately scale to deliver the impact the business needs.
So now so again, 30,000 foot view, like kind of a really good overview of what you do. How do you come in there? What does your software do to kind of, help those projects succeed and not fail?
Sure. Well, so what we do is we help companies manage their portfolio of potential projects, right? When they're still in this planning phase. So prior to executing them, right? Upstream of like actually building or deploying technology or project result, but upstream of that, like how do I plan all the different initiatives? How do I, one, understand where they're redundant, where they're overlap? How do I know how to prioritize the rest? How do I know which team members to engage so that we can collaborate effectively and efficiently in a modern way so that you can get to understand what your goals are, understand what the solutions are you're going to deploy, and then get sign off on the technical, functional, operational requirements that then you can then go bring to build a prototype and deploy it successfully that's well thought out and will scale, or go to the market and procure the right solution so that you can actually make the impact you want to make. That's the challenge that businesses have, and our technology is an operating system to do exactly that. We have multiple AI agents in our platform that push the humans to see around corners, cover the unknown unknowns, collaborate deeply, and take 90% of the cognitive load out of that process to make it easier for the humans that need to participate so they can quickly get to that requirement set, confidently push to execution with more successful projects.
Got it. So yeah, so you're not replacing like the ideation, the creativity, like that process of it. You're just basically helping them all package it up, execute it, get it into one plan and make it, make sure it succeeds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the ideas are going to come from our opinion. Ideas often come from humans, right? They all come from people that, hey, I've got a problem. I need to address it. They understand what it is. They start to articulate it. They can start at the very beginning of that journey and say, chat with our technology and say, like, how do I approach this project? I've got to solve this problem. And our system just picks up the ball and runs, right? And helps them, guides them down that process. So it starts with a human. And then the thing is that a lot of humans in that enterprise organization also have ideas and opinions. And how do we bring those into the conversation so that you get a really thoroughly planned project, through to execution? The other concept is that no one's at a lack of these ideas. Every person in a company probably has a lot of opinions on what they need to do. So do your AI systems. As soon as you deploy that first AI system effectively, it's gonna, in 6 seconds, it's gonna give you 10 things you need to do, right, to improve your infrastructure. It's gonna give you feedback that says, hey, I needed Salesforce AI will tell you, hey, I need a new data set for this area of the business because there's too many human interventions, right? Go find a better data set. You're gonna get, and that'll be an AI system putting it into the queue. So when you have, AI systems adding 100 potential projects, to your potential portfolio every month, like how do you rationalize that? Do you have a system to do that? Every enterprise needs to have a system to help them understand, again, where there's redundancy, where there's overlap, how to prioritize it, how to engage the right team members, and then execute the planning process so they can go innovate when it makes sense. Every company needs a system that helps them manage this portfolio. And to date, because all of planning has historically been manual, right? It's all been in Word docs, PowerPoint templates, maybe a dumb queue in an Excel spreadsheet. There hasn't really been a way to engage these projects when they're very infant and move them from point 0 to point 80, hyper fast so that you can really get to the meat of the planning and then execute the projects fast.
So do you think that's the biggest role that AI agents or a multi-agent AI systems main role they play, or is there, what else do they do in the back end to really help kind of push those, projects through?
Yeah, sure. I mean, our AI system goes deep, right, on doing research for a user around the potential project, understanding industry best practices instantly. It then understands, okay, based on the context of what you're trying to do and who you are as an organization, how complex your organization is, how complex is this project? Because that impacts how deep we need to investigate different dimensions of defining the problem. Do we have to go really deep on the business case for this particular project? Do we need to really go deep on the infrastructure, discovery for across the IT, stack so that we can really make sure this will integrate well in and have access to the data it needs, right? Different projects have different types of complexity. Every project's different. And that's why there's never been a system built for this in the past, because you couldn't build a workflow system that enabled businesses to do this planning because every plan was too different. Understanding based on that context, who you need to engage across your organization, that's different on every plan. right? You have different stakeholders across your organization that you're going to have to engage. Sometimes it's the finance people, sometimes it's the IT person, sometimes it's compliance, sometimes it's the end user. Um, all of this matters if you want to be able to scale whatever you roll out.
Got it. Okay. So now let's say, a business wants to adopt, your company in there, bring your agents on and bring that software in, at very high level. I know it's probably a lot more, you know, into what you guys do, but what does like onboarding look like? What is the adoption of your system into there? What are you guys doing? What are you looking for? And then kind of execution. How does that look?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a freemium to premium solution, so users can start planning right now at no cost and see how it works for them to plan a project or two, see how it helps them collaborate, how it gets to help them to execute, how it automatically helps them build prototypes in Cursor, Lovable, or other dev solutions, automatically helps them shortlist vendors that are perfect fit for the project they're trying to plan, right? So you can speed procurement, make that whole process more efficient as well. Try it out. Like that's how people start with our platform. And once they start using it, they understand very quickly the help our platform is delivering. Our customers are telling us we're saving them 30 hours of work, planning work, in the first 30 seconds of using our platform. So that's just the start. We're helping teams save hundreds of hours across project planning across their team.
I
And
mean,
the
that's,
end result, much more successful projects. You've all heard AI projects failing at 95%, right? MIT, different studies are saying that. That's not because the technology is wrong, right? It's because the AI systems fundamentally they're testing not how smart you are, but how ready your organization is to adopt the AI system, right?
got it.
Have you collaborated? Do you know how to access the data? Is Are all the stakeholders on board so that the project doesn't get stopped, right? All of that matters. And if you want projects to be successful today with the complexity that we have to build them at and with the technology that is available today and make all the right decisions, you really have to lean into planning because if you try to do it after the fact, you're going to have a fail project.
That's awesome. I mean, you guys are coming in there, saving so much time, your value propositions through the roof if it's saving them that much time and that much, man hours. And then also the fact that you have basically no risk to it as well.
No
Where they can
risk,
just come
give it
in
a
and
shot.
try. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty sweet deal there. So yeah, that's awesome. So, with everything that we just talked about and everything being said, what's working really well right now for you guys?
You know, I'll say the number one thing that's been so awesome for us is we're getting incredible feedback from our customers on the platform. They really like what they're seeing, and we ask them, how do we make this even better, right?
Yeah.
And users in these large enterprises, they have a lot of different requirements, and but they give us some great feedback on the platform, how it's being used, the value it's delivering, and we listen really intently. But we're really excited about how engaged our customers are with us, how much feedback they're providing, and how that's helping us build a great solution for this enterprise planning.
Yeah. So it does it now. So what's your guys' like ICP or like ideal client profile? Is it obviously enterprise level? Can someone that maybe is not even at that level yet still use the system effectively, or kind of how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the if you need to plan something thoroughly, if your business is complex enough that
Yeah.
you're either the technology decisions you make are hard or how you need to organize across your teams is complex, that's where we can start having a pretty big impact. If you're a one man show and you're just trying to use this to help you plan, it helps a lot. But sometimes we've gotten some of those folks that tell us maybe it's a little overkill, maybe it goes too deep. It's actually feedback we've received from some of the kind of smaller businesses. Hey, can you put it in light mode for us, for example, and like do all this stuff, but assume that I'm a smaller business, right? And we're actually playing with that in the background to see if we can make it even more consumable for smaller businesses. But on the other end of the spectrum, the enterprises, they actually are asking us to go a different degree of complexity. From their feedback, we've added the ability to add custom dimensions to how we help them do planning. So every company might have their own special sauce, their way of doing things for different types of planning. We can adopt those. We can put those load them right into our platform. We can enter those documentation in, any reports they need provided. Just our AI system learns what it means really quick. And then everything they plan also has that flavor of their uniqueness adopted automatically to the process. And again, that just helps the system learn what makes a particular enterprise more efficient, and at the same time customize it to their particular organization, their particular use case, their particular industry in the way they need to. And we do that out of the box now.
So now my mind is like running a little bit while you were talking. So now to be kind of like a devil's advocate on the one man show or like a smaller team, could they almost use your system to my mind goes to where like when you create a business and when you're running a business, a lot of short fails on companies are that they always build the business with not the end goal in mind. So they're not looking so far in the future with like an exit or something like that. So they structure the business wrong and they're not able to either exit it or whatever. So maybe if they're building an enterprise, company, could they even use your system to grow it more effectively?
I think so. I think the worst case scenario is it's gonna expose them to things they haven't thought about yet.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
And that's as a small business owner myself and, being in startups community, like I never have all the knowledge, right? I never will have all the knowledge. I need smart people prompting me, right, with good ideas and new ways to do things. I need smart technology also prompting me to think about things in different ways so I can uncover my unknown unknowns, right?
Yeah.
See or plan for the unknown unknowns that other people are aware of, other technology deployments are aware of, other, best practices are aware of, but I might not be aware of. I might not know who the experts are in a particular process or project system. Why can't I have a system that automatically helps me find those people so I can engage with them and ask the right questions, make sure I'm making the right decisions, or at least give me a way better shot at making all the right decisions so I can execute.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, it's really good insight, and it's a good way to look at it too, because obviously that the growing part or the starting up piece of a business is the most important time, and then you guys can actually help with that entire life cycle as well. What's been the most challenging thing for you guys, starting up?
It's a great, great question. I think one of the things for us that has been the most challenging is the technology changes really fast, right? Um, you know, when we're building an AI first multi-agent platform, right? So we have to be way out there on the technology. What does that mean? That means, we've got to think about how we compound value in the design of our platform over everything else in the world, right? So so what does that mean? When a user comes on our platform, I need to make sure that that there's so much value in the first 30 seconds that they're so impressed that they want to they can never put this solution down, right? And then I have to repeat that every 3 minutes, right? So that they realize this is something that they need to live with. This needs to be part of the culture of their organization. They need to improve planning as part of their organization's culture, and that this solution helps them do that. I need to do that with every user. And when they engage stakeholders and bring them to the platform to help them plan, I need to repeat that for all of them too. Every 30 seconds, first 30 seconds value, every 3 minutes value. I got to do that forever. That's the hard thing today in software, in AI first software companies, is they're always continuously proving your value. And the flip side of that, that's also a gift, right? The gift
Yeah.
is I don't have to worry about retention, right? I can get companies on the platform, impress them, and keep them captivated with how we're helping them improve their business. And I don't have to worry about retention a year from now, 2 years from now, right? I'm going to learn how to continuously deliver incrementally more for them all the time. And that focus of, product market fit right to the front of the process and making it constant and continuous, not something I worry about when I'm trying to renew a 3-year contract, right? This is something that is very different in today's technology landscape.
So now talking about retention and metrics and things like that. So what metrics for your business matter most to you right now?
Pretty much what I just said, right? So let me support that though with what's most important for my customers, right? So the metrics that are most important for my customers is they need to be really efficient in planning, save hundreds of hours every time they're doing a plan across their enterprise. Make it really easy for them to collaborate in a modern way that doesn't mean, hey, let's get 20 people in a conference room and talk this through, right? That's probably the worst way to plan, right? Like how do we do it in a modern way that feels more like an Instagram interaction or a TikTok interaction rather than this big heavy meeting, right?
Yeah.
How do I asynchronous, what's the word I'm trying to get there?
Yeah.
A, how do I get it in real time?
Yeah. For
The
sure.
feedback from different people that I need to collaborate so that we can keep the ball moving and keep momentum moving on the project planning consistently until it's ready to be signed off on, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Those are really important, and then help them automatically create all the presentations, all the documentation, the business case analysis, the risk, the of the project, the next steps, the approval flow, the documentation of all that. Like I need AI systems can automate all that stuff, and that's what we do. And then when it's ready to execute and people are signed off, right? We know we've got the best chance of success with the project because it's just so well done.
I love
That's
it.
what customers care about, right? So for me, that's what our metrics are all around, right?
Okay.
Peop Platform, are they planning projects? Are they collaborating? Are they getting value every time they're engaging and they having more successful projects?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, 100%. Your clients using it and utilization is the number one key for you guys. So it's obviously the higher those metrics are, the better job you're doing. Yeah, that's awesome. Where do you guys see, where do you want Force Equals to be in 6 to 12 months from now?
Yeah, so like right now, like we started this about a year ago, so like we're still really young as a company. We've seen great growth on the platform, amazing amount of users on the platform. Like we're blown away by that already. 6 months, 12 months from now, I want us to be like have a reputation for being a really trusted solution for enterprise planning. We're doing it in a completely new way. So, we're still dealing with early adopters in the enterprise that want to plan differently, want to challenge their organization to do it a little differently.
Okay.
We want to become really trusted as a provider of a great solution for this. So that's what we're trying to do. Earn the trust from our customers. So I'm not the one that has to tell the world about how good we are, right?
Yeah.
I want 1,000 companies out there, 5,000 users of the platform out there telling people you got to just use Force Equals. And if that happens, that's that I know I'll be successful. So that's what we're focused on.
I love it. And I know that you made the software to solve this next question or solve one of the next questions. But if you can eliminate one of the big bottlenecks in enterprise project planning, what would it be?
Yeah, I think the one that I'd be most proud of is bias, removing the bias, right? People make decisions about what they know, right? But they don't know what they don't know, right? I might choose a vendor for my project because that sales rep was able to get through to me and talk to me rather than them being the best for the problem I'm trying to solve, right? These biases that come into decision making, they're insidious, right? That you don't intend to be biased, but you are biased by what you know and what you've learned and who you've engaged with. What we're trying to do here is help companies push past that quickly so that they can actually get to the truth, right? And so I think that bias politics, right? Who's more powerful in an organization can sometimes distract from the truth of what they need to do to actually innovate and be impactful. Enterprises struggle with this mightily. Like if we could help attack bias, remove it, help attack the politics, remove it, and create a more standard way, a more efficient way, a less like, maybe a more holistic way of planning. I think that would benefit tons of businesses. And that'd be something I'd really like try to.
I love it. All right. Well, if an enterprise owner or executive is watching, they want to talk with you or even test out the project or the product. I know you mentioned you have a freemium version online. Kind of how do they go about that? What's the best way to get in touch with you guys?
Yep. Go to forceequals.ai. And right on the homepage, you can start planning. Like right at the top of the homepage, tell our application what you want to plan, and you'll be surprised what happens in the first 30 seconds.
Interesting. All right. Well, awesome. I'll put all the contact info, the website, everything below in the description. But thank you so much for joining me today, Mark.
Alex, great to talk with you today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.